Hey folks, welcome back once again to Indaba Africa. This is Chris coming to you live from central Pennsylvania. Wherever you find yourself around the world today, whether it happens to be in the Netherlands, whose jersey I'm wearing today, this would be the the Soccer World Cup, sorry, that fake sport, Soccer World Cup jersey from the 2014, was it 2014? Anyway, I can't keep track of FIFA World Cups. It must have been 14. But anyway, this is the cup from there. This is the jersey for the Netherlands. There you go. See the stripes down the middle? There you go. And across the chevrons across the middle. Anyway, this is a team that had Arjen Robben on it, the guy who played with Bayern München, and a lot of other really talented players. Welcome into the special feature today. I have a guest today who's a rather unusual sort of guest. She rose to instant celebrity and fame with an infamous or famous video that went viral not all that long ago. Anyway, she's currently in the Netherlands, hence the reason for wearing the Netherlands soccer jersey. I'm going to bring her in just a moment, folks. So let me welcome in my guest and welcome everybody to the channel Indaba Africa. Thank you so much for tuning in. And let me go ahead and get right to it, okay? So I'm going to bring my guest in here in just a moment. Invite her in the Zoom session. There she is. She should be joining us in just a moment. Okay. She's connecting now. So hopefully get her in just a moment.
Yeah.
And there she is. Hey.
Hi.
Marelize, how are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm excellent, thank you. Welcome into the channel.
Thank you very much.
I was just doing an introduction. I said that my guest is famous for an infamous or famous, depending how you look at it, viral video that took place not all that long ago. So actually the video we're talking about, which has been labeled My F Something, Marelize, was about you riding a bicycle. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself quickly so that those who don't know who you are, which I'm sure is probably a few people, but I think most people know who you are here. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a Namibian girl, born and raised, and I had a big dream of seeing the world, but I also really do like children. So yeah, this all came from me wanting to learn how to ride a bicycle so that I can become an au pair in the Netherlands, which clearly did not work out so well in the beginning.
Well, in fact, let me do this very quickly. Give me a moment here. You won't be able to see it because you don't have it, but I'm going to put it on the screen for the audience, the viewing audience, to watch the video. It's about 18 seconds, folks. Look, she's a little embarrassed there. Don't be embarrassed. It's kind of was instant celebrity. So let me go ahead and bring that up for those who haven't seen the video. Just a moment. So hang on. We're going to, I just got to get to it very quickly here. Where's it at? Okay, here we go. So we're going to take ourselves off the screen, and here's the video. People can watch this. Now she's riding this bicycle on a rugby pitch, doing quite well at this stage, and then, oh! Sorry about that, folks. Here's what the sound.
My fuck, Marelize.
All right, folks, so that's the video that went viral that got everybody's attention. Marelize, I'm guessing that was your mom that was on the phone there when she recorded that.
Yes, my lovely, supportive mom.
Well, I think it seemed, from my impression, she was a bit astounded. How could you possibly run into the goalpost? The pitch was entirely empty. It's not like you were running around a scrum half or a lock who was trying to tackle you. What happened there?
I would like to say that gravity doesn't love me all that much, and that I love getting into accidents. And my mom saying that was kind of out of, how can this girl be this stupid?
Oh, well, that's a little mean, but let's be fair though. She did say it very low. It's not like she screamed it across the pitch. Did you even hear her say it?
No, I didn't. And we didn't even know it was there. And I sent it on to a few friends because we thought it was funny. And then my sister called and she was like, Mom, did you hear what you said? And then we only listened to it with sound. And then we realized what my mom said.
Well, and actually that was too late then. The cat was out of the bag. It had already gone viral by then.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons I played it in silent for folks is so you can see it happening. And I kind of described it. And then for the effect, we hear your mom say that. not the best language to put on a family-friendly video, but
no.
And probably, but that's kind of how you got introduced to the wider world outside of Namibia, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really by accident. We have this show, it's called Kwela, and then you can send in funny videos and you win rewards. And that was kind of the idea. We were going to send it in there, but before that was even possible, it went so big that, yeah, it wasn't even needed for that anymore.
That's quite fascinating. So did you say Quella? Is that like like source or well?
No, it's a TV. No. Quella is a TV program where you can send in funny videos of family members or yourself, and the funniest one wins something.
No, I was trying to get the word because as you and I talked offline a little bit between German and English and Afrikaans, so many similarities, especially with German and Dutch and Afrikaans. And Quelle is a word for like a wave or not Quelle, like a source in German. That's a source.
Yeah.
So I was just curious if it was the same sort of thing. I'm sorry, I heard somebody talking. It threw me off. Anyway, so Christo just gave a super sticker of 70 Rand. Thank you so much for that, Christoph. And then he's like a Superman flying through the air. You can't see it, Marlies, but then Christo gave another 70 Rand super chat. Actually, a super sticker saying #1 fan. Okay, so now I know how to raise money for the channel. All I have to do is bring Marlies on the channel, and then Christo will come on and give us all his money.
That's a good way of doing it.
Well, I hadn't thought about this. This is a marketing scheme. I'm going to have to get on top of this immediately. So, so you were saying that you had to learn how to ride a bike. Listen, not everybody has been to the Netherlands. Why would you need to ride a bike in the Netherlands? What's that all about?
So it's kind of got to do with they are very environmentally friendly, and here the speed limit is also a lot lower so that they burn less fossil fuels, and the space is very little. So for a bike, it is a lot more comfortable. And right now, I can't imagine going anywhere if not on bike, because everything is really close by and it's really just resourceful, to be honest.
Well, listen, Marlies, I have to dispute your argument there. I don't really think it's because they're environmentally logical. Let me explain the deal here. I think the reason that the Dutch and the Walloons are so fond of bicycles is they can't afford the petrol and there's too many people for the roads.
My host dad said something like that as well.
See. No doubt. The Dutch, in many respects, when it comes to industrialization, have led the way when it comes to environmentally responsive practices. Of course, famously, Royal Dutch Shell is a Anglo-Dutch company, and it started in the Netherlands, and they're involved in oil extraction. So we'll move right past the ecological protection and keep on to something else there. But, so you had to learn to ride a bicycle because you knew you were going to be riding a bicycle all the time in the Netherlands just to get around.
Yeah.
So
I tried to get around it, but there is no way.
There's just no way. No, I've been to the Netherlands. If you've never been to the Netherlands, man, those people got bicycles everywhere. It's crazy how many bicycles are in the Netherlands. It's pretty good, actually. It's a shame that they don't attach battery packs to it, so all the pedaling power generates electricity.
There is, yes, that is disappointing. But you do get bikes, electronic bikes, and they kind of have like a battery, and those are lovely bikes.
Yep, there you go. So let me ask this question. So you were, I think, 19 in that video?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the first time you ever rode a bicycle?
Yeah, it was I think it was a few days after I turned 19. And previously I did try, and I had to go to a kind of training camp where we were taught about the au pair life, and there you had to cycle to show that you can actually cycle, and I failed miserably. And that is why they asked me to send in a video where I eventually can cycle, which also went miserably. And eventually I did learn how to do it. But yeah, that was the gist.
So let's see. I want to tell you. So Keith Alderson, who lives in the UK, so he's not too far away from where you're at. But Keith says, "Morning, Chris. It's because the canals melt in the summer, so they can't skate all year round in the Netherlands. That's why they." So I guess I take it that Keith has been ice skating on the Zuider Zee or Zuider Zee. Speaking of which, you've been there for I think about 10 months now, correct?
Yeah.
And how are you finding the Netherlands compared to Namibia, where there's no people and where the Netherlands there's too many people?
Actually, I haven't come across that. I find it actually quite peaceful, or maybe it's just where I am located. But I do love it a lot, and it's so green and it's beautiful. And in the beginning, I did love the rain, not gonna lie. But now I could use a little bit less of it, but I still do like it.
Well, that's the thing. The people. I always explain to people if you're curious about French and German history and wonder why the Germans are always invading France, it's because it's so dreary and rainy in Germany all year long, and they're trying to get to the beaches down in Saint Tropez.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is.
Yeah.
Now listen here, Marlies. Vilmari Horn says, "Love you lots, little sis. We miss you."
Oh, that's my sister.
I was going to guess that. Now I'm going to put her on the spot. Vilmari, are you a subscriber to Chris White Africa? If you're not, we're going to shame you into it. Anyway.
Oh, do it. Just do it.
Do it. Go ahead. Do it. Anyway. No, but seriously. Wow. That's, thank you so much for coming on. So that's your big sister there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my number one for anything and everything.
Well, that kind of preempts my next question. Sometimes there's sibling rivalry. I was wondering if you got any of that.
No, I've got to say, I think somewhere along the line, my parents did something really well. Because whenever people are like, yeah, did you fight? Did you fight? And I can't remember a time that my sister and I fought. And I think it's just from a young age, my mom really taught us what respect for one another is. And it kind of just stayed. And yeah, kind of everything that I was able to do with the video and where I am right now has a big thing to do with her and the support she gave.
That's brilliant. That's really nice to say. I've got a bunch of siblings. I can't even identify them by name. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding that I have a bunch of siblings. I do have a bunch. I'm actually the eldest. Je suis l'aîné, as they say in French. I'm the firstborn. But I have a bunch of siblings that come after me and spread out all over the United States at this point. So it's always good to ask folks about their siblings. So there's some comments coming in the chat. Let me get to some of these. Marabani, who is South African but is living in the Netherlands right now too. He's studying at university, doing a postgraduate program, if I'm not mistaken. Marabani says, I actually experienced enough of an idyllic childhood that I cycled to school in South Africa. Can't do that anymore. Yeah, I can imagine.
No.
Yeah, I can imagine that's definitely something different. Now, he was actually going to tell a joke about the F, my Marelize, and he goes, wait, it's her? Okay, so he didn't tell the joke. Okay, so thank you for saving us that on Marabani. Marabani's an interesting character. Let's see what else we got here. So that's really cool to see Vilmari is on here. Now, okay, let me ask you this question. Okay, now maybe for Afrikaners, it's not so unusual, but names like Marlies and Vilmari, what's going on there? Now, before you answer it, when I was a young man, my neighbor was the Wilsons, and they had daughters, and they had Paulette and they had Kendra. And I always assumed that they just wanted boys. Instead of getting Paul and Ken, they got Paulette and Kendra. So I don't think that's the case here. But what's going on with these names? Where do they come from? They're not exactly right off the top of the list.
No, I know my sister's name is a combination of, I think, the grandmother's names. I think that is her name. But I was blessed with no name for like 2 days because this year I found out I was supposed to be a boy. And my name would have been Richard. But that did not happen, as you can see. So I ended up with the name Marelize. I have no idea where it came from.
That's beautiful.
But I like it.
Well, I like it too. It's quite beautiful. Well, listen, not to be gender biased, but I'm just kind of willing to be a bet that if it had been a boy that ran into the rugby post, he wouldn't have become famous and people wouldn't have enjoyed it.
No. Probably not.
So it's probably good that you did something that I like to do. I've done my entire life. I call it subverting expectations. In other words, people look at you, they expect you to be a certain way or to behave a certain way or to believe in certain things just because of your appearance or your gender or something like that. So I like to subvert expectations. Sounds like you've subverted the expectations about you becoming a boy.
Definitely.
So there you go. I guess your parents were hoping for one of each, and then they got two on one side.
We always like to joke that my dad really wanted boys, but instead he got girls who did boy things.
Oh, cool. Cool beans. So let's talk a little bit about your parents. Other than your mom's potty mouth, we won't. No. If your mother's listening, I wonder if we'll hear about that. So anyway, but no, but seriously, can you tell me a little bit about your parents? Obviously, you must have a good relationship with your parents.
I do. when everything was always really good, but at the end of high school, when I didn't really know what to do, they didn't pressure me into saying you have to go to college, you have to do university, you have to start working. They really gave me an opening to go out and really find myself and find what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I think in that I really did see that I do have amazing parents who are willing to, give me the time that I needed.
Guess what? You know what's nice about the internet and YouTube and social media is that someone always has the answer to something. So the gentleman I mentioned to you a little bit ago, who's pretty clever there, Marhobani, says that he believes that it is a shortened version of the French names Marelize. Marelize. It could be.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, I like that. Interesting.
Sounds good.
All right, cool beans. So you're from Namibia, not exactly the most populous planet or country on the planet, and you grew up whereabouts? In Windhoek?
In Windhoek, capital city.
Okay, excellent. So what can you tell us about Windhoek? I've been there, but not everyone in the audience has been there. I have folks from around the world who watch this program, including places like Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia. Really, it's crazy. But anyway, tell us a little bit about Windhoek growing up there.
First off, gotta say, we do not live in huts like everyone believes.
Wait a second. You don't live in huts. So what are you going to do?
No.
Next, you're going to tell me you have these confounded inventions like motor cars and electricity and paved roads.
Yes, we also have things called shops where you can buy things.
Okay, I like that. Keep going. Tell me the story.
No, I realized I didn't actually know that was the way that people viewed Windhoek and Namibia until we were in high school and there was a group of rugby players from the UK. And the one guy did say, he was like, I really thought I was going to live in a hut. And I was so in shock. I was like, yeah, now I know what people think.
That's too funny.
But Windhoek is a beautiful town, and the people there are actually really good people. I know that before I came to the Netherlands, I was like, yeah, this is Windhoek, nothing special. But the moment you have to explain it to people, you do realize that you actually do live in a beautiful place. We are surrounded by mountains. First off, that is absolutely beautiful. Nothing beats a Namibian sunset. It is amazing. And the surrounding areas, there's always something new to find.
Well, you're right about the mountains. In fact, the first time I was there, I flew into Windhoek from Joburg, from OR Tambo, and I had a hire, so I drove all over the country. And then I came back and I filled up my petrol in Windhoek. I got to the airport. At that time, there was no commercial petrol stations anywhere near the airport. So I turned in my hire and then got a bill for like $10 for gasoline, $10 US, because the liter and a half I spent, they charged me like $5 a gallon for it. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But the reason that the airport is so far from town is because you can't land on the mountains. You got to have a flat spot. So
yeah.
Now there was a park right there adjacent to Windhoek. It's called I can never pronounce it, Vision or Vision. How do you pronounce that?
Donfiljoen?
Well, there you go. That's very good pronunciation, by the way. Donfiljoen. Is that still around, that park? Do you ever go there?
We did go there a lot when I was younger, but as I got older, it kind of wasted away, I guess.
Oh, shame.
But it was a beautiful place, and I remember that's where my dad taught me most of the things I know about going outside and playing and everything. So it was really pretty, and yeah, I do miss it, to be honest, going there with your friends and with your family.
Yeah, I was there. It was let's see, that was like 20 years ago, and it was beautiful then. So it was still maintained then.
Yeah.
So Marinus Bota has given a 14 Rand super sticker, going, "Hey you." So,
hey,
hey, like I said, we're going to have to get you on here more often so we can financially support this channel.
I'm very in shock that after a year, I'm still known, I guess. I really did think it would die. It would have died down and no one would remember.
No, apparently it struck quite a chord. So, let's see. Ranger Jakes, who's an actual park ranger in South Africa. I think he works in Kruger, if I'm not mistaken, says, do you own a bike now? I'm going to say the answer is probably yes.
What do I own?
A bicycle.
I do. I have a bakfiets. Now, for everyone who doesn't know what that is, it is the hardest thing to drive. It is a cycle, a normal bicycle, and then in front it has a bak, a bowl kind of, where children can sit in, and then you have to cycle with this extra bowl in front of you. And in the beginning, I struggled so much. Oh,
Well, I think we can attest to the struggling part because you had a kind of a rocky start to riding bicycles to begin with.
I did. Before I came to the Netherlands, I really did have the hang of cycling. And I remember the first day I went to school with the kids, everything was fine until I had to get off the bike and then I fell in front of everyone.
I'm sure that was a little bit embarrassing, but you were accustomed to it by this stage.
Yes, I was used to it. I kind of just got up and the kids laughed and I was like, yeah, what a way to start.
No, here's the thing, Marlies, a little secret to share with you. It's kind of like children. And now kids you're watching aren't that young, but a little bit younger, but maybe say the age 3 to 5 or even 2. When a kid falls down, notice how if nobody's looking at them, they just kind of look around and see if they're getting attention. And if they don't get attention, they don't start crying. So it's kind of like the same when you fall on a bicycle, just kind of get up and move on and nobody will notice and it'll be the best.
Yeah. If you don't make a scene, no one else cares.
So do you go bike riding with the family, your host family, or with the kids, or just use it for transport to get from place to place?
You use it for transport. I take them to school with it. I have to go to town with it. You go to the train station with it. You go to friend's house with it. It is everything. You don't do, yeah. It's too far to walk, but not far enough to go by car. So you just cycle.
Now, unfortunately for your time in Europe, I think you probably had some big plans. I'll go be an au pair in Europe, maybe take a little bit of time, see some parts of the continent while I'm here. But you got there and then something intervened.
Everything blew up in my face.
Well, in everybody's face, not just your face, but it kind of put the kibosh on your big plans. And so how long were you in the Netherlands before everything started shutting down?
I think it was about 4 months until everything started because I just settled in and I just found my feet. And then I was going to start making plans and I just made friends and then it all ended.
So I'm sorry, I'm going to the chat because I'm following the chat as you explain this, but they're seeing a new name I don't recognize. So apparently the word has gotten through the Bush Telegraph across Namibia because Daniel Koilder. Hello, Marelize.
Oh, Daniel, yeah.
We miss you, the Koilders from Windhoek.
Oh, that was sweet.
Okay, so not only am I going to get you on here to raise revenue for the channel, but I'm trying to up my viewership in Namibia. So clearly I'm on the right path here. You know, I made a video a couple months ago about Namibia being the first country in Africa ever to export beef to the United States. A lot of research, worked very hard on it. Did the video, got great compliments about, wow, how do you know so much about the beef industry in Namibia? Thank you for this. And I think a couple hundred people watched. By now, we've had more people tune in to watch Marlize than to watch my videos. So clearly, I've got the wrong content on my channel. We're going to have to get you on here more often.
Oh, this is really a surprise for me to hear. Honestly, I really did want to ride the Marelize train a bit longer than I was able to. And I really did think that, when I get back, it's all going to be over. Nothing's going to be left of it. But this really does kind of give me hope that this can continue.
Well, apparently you're getting more than your 15 minutes of fame with this. It's lasting a bit longer.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Brett's a loyal follower, a subscriber who's based in Mississippi, of all places, here in the U.S., and he asked a question. I think he asked a question because I think he knows the answer. But he says, is baseball popular in the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands?
Mm-hmm.
No, not that I have never heard that they play net baseball. No.
It's interesting because some games, I don't know if you're familiar, but softball is similar to baseball. It's the same sort
of
softball.
That I do know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's popular in Botswana because in Botswana the Peace Corps volunteers brought the game with them and would play with local kids starting in the 1970s. And today you have a huge softball association in Botswana. In fact, when I was there, one of the generals I worked with in the Botswana Defense Force was the president of the Botswana Softball Association. So, do they play softball in Namibia?
No, we do not play softball. We have different kind of sports because most of the things that we do there, they don't play in the Netherlands either.
But you have netball, don't you, in Namibia?
Yes, we have netball. I did try it. I was not very good at it.
Okay, so cycling's out, netball's out. I'm going to guess you didn't play
Tennis is also out.
What about rugby?
Rugby, I was never allowed because I'm a girl.
Girls play rugby. Come on, what's up with that?
When I was in school, it was not a thing.
Ah, shame.
I also can't play cricket. Soccer is not my thing because I don't have the ball-eye coordination.
So we're just going to keep you away from sports, and I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, hockey was good because then I was the goalkeeper, so then I had to fall on the ball. So it was good enough.
But you're talking about field hockey.
Yes, field hockey.
Not my game, which is ice hockey. That's the game I like.
No, there will never be any ice in Namibia. That is impossible.
Well, why not? There's ice skating rinks in South Africa.
Yeah, but South Africa is not the same as Namibia. We are not one.
No, that's true. And there's actually more than 5 people in South Africa. So, I'm going to lose all my Namibia subscribers. They just left.
We are small, but we are proud of it.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, let me talk about this for a second. You and I were chatting, and I said one of the things I've always found fascinating about Namibia is, and especially Windhoek, for a city of its size, it's, from my perspective, as someone from outside Namibia, it's quite cosmopolitan. What I mean by that is that I sat in a cafe there one day, and I heard people speaking Portuguese, speaking Afrikaans, German, English, what I thought was Herero, but I don't know it well enough to say it was for sure. I heard someone speaking, obviously, a Bushman language, or Basaro, as we say in Botswana. I heard like 9 different languages in the course of an hour while I sat there and drank a coffee. And it wasn't, I know, people say you don't drink coffee. It wasn't a coffee. It was like a cocoa. I'm just saying it was coffee. Anyway, it's a coffee shop, People are like, what are you doing drinking coffee, cocoa in a coffee shop? Anyway, but it seems to me to be a very cosmopolitan city with a lot going on for a place that's stuck in the mountains, what ostensibly is the middle of nowhere, but it's quite fascinating. Did you enjoy growing up there?
I did. It was one of the most amazing things that we have about 18 languages, I think. And in the middle, everyone speaks English so that we can all understand each other. And my parents were wonderful, and they put me into a public school, which means it was a mixture of anything and everything. And I would not give that back for the world because I learned so much. For a moment there, I could speak Herero. That I remember.
Oh, okay.
But I can't do it anymore. I was young. I didn't keep on learning. It's gone now.
Fascinating.
But I would never give it up. It was honestly the best to be able to be a part of such a diverse community.
Uh-huh. Well, it's interesting because as I go to great lengths to tell people, and I've had Giselle on the program, the singer from South Africa, from Namibia, excuse me, who lives in South Africa. And Giselle and I and Johan have talked a lot about Namibia, and as I've talked to other guests, and I tell people, I said that, Botswana and Namibia are very different than South Africa. There may be similar ethnic groups and even similar languages and some cultural history that goes along with it. For instance, the Trek Boers who moved up into Namibia. And you also got like now you're going to laugh when I say this because I'm going to mispronounce it, I'm going to pronounce it in English, but the Rehoboth Busters. But actually, how do you actually correctly pronounce that word?
Rehoboth Busters.
Yeah, I'll stick to the incorrect pronunciation. That's a little hard for me. But so you've got a group of people there whose origins come from South Africa, from the Cape, the Western Cape. Yeah. And so even though all that's similar, there's a very different dynamic at play culturally and society-wise in both Botswana and Namibia. And not saying that they're the same, but they're different than South Africa. So when I'm in Namibia, the inclination whenever I meet somebody is they just say, hey, you get along. Same in Botswana. Whereas in South Africa, sometimes in certain quarters, in certain places, depending on your appearance, people are kind of standoffish and don't necessarily want to talk to you. Is that something that you can attest to? Would you say Namibia is like that? People just kind of get along for the most part?
Yeah, I do think we're very open-minded people, to be honest. I think that we kind of keep it open, and we do know that, if you just give a bit of kindness, it's not going to cost you anything. So I do love where I grew up. It did teach me a lot, especially the people.
It's cool beans. So Brett Sessoms, actually, I heard his super chat, but missed it. He actually asked the question I just asked. So I asked it for him, but I'll just say, so Brett's question was, he'd heard that Namibia is much safer than South Africa. And my experience is that is the case. And you would say the same, yes? Okay. Yeah.
Definitely.
It's to me when I'm in Namibia, it kind of reminds me of what America was like in the 70s in a lot of places. And I don't mean that you're 30 years, 40 years behind America. What I mean is that people felt safe for the most part and people just got along. Most people weren't looking to cause trouble, just trying to get through life.
Yeah. No, I don't think I will ever live in South Africa just due to the amount of unsafety that it has.
Yeah, it's a bit challenging for some folks there. So, people, I'm looking at the chat here. Sorry, and there's some people talking about some of the bad things that happened to them in other places. So we don't want to focus on that. But so let's get back to. So in the Netherlands, have you been able to see anything? Because you're not too far from Nijmegen, correct?
No, I've been there a few times. It is absolutely beautiful. It's wow, like the architecture, it's amazing. The churches, the atmosphere, everything. And if you look up, it's miles and miles of buildings and beautiful architecture. It's amazing.
So Renier Duplessis says, mensen in Namibia praat Afrikaans. Yeah, we know that.
Ja, ons praat het wel.
Well, better than me anyway.
Yeah. At least you try. You try very hard.
I do. What's this? Oh, so Rainier's having fun with Afrikaans. Mensen in Namibia. How? No, I see that's an H. I get it wrong. Hoi van Praai.
Oh.
Yeah, ho van Praai. Yeah, see the G's and the H's. It's just not fair. You guys confuse everybody. So how much longer will you be in the Netherlands? What's the plan? I mean, there's no aviation. Are you going to swim back to Namibia? What's your plan?
Yeah, today it all kind of happened at once as well. So the plan is that I fly back in September, middle September, and my company as well as the air company let me know that I will arrive on a later time but the same day, which throws off a lot of the other plans that I had. And now we're trying to see if we can work around it, because if I go into South Africa, I have to be in quarantine. And then I can only fly back home to Namibia, where I will have to be in quarantine again.
Yeah, and that'll be kind of a drag. Is it for 10 days or 2 weeks? Do you know?
2 weeks, 14 days.
Oof. And I'm sure they're not putting you up in the Ritz-Carlton hotel.
No, you can only stay in places that they have allocated as allowed. And my idea was, I do have my mom's best friend lives in South Africa, and I was like, I could just stay with her. But no, you cannot do that.
No, and that wouldn't work either, because once you leave South Africa, you got to go into quarantine again to be inside of Namibia. So,
Yes.
Well, while you've been out of the country, Air Namibia has pretty much gone into bankruptcy. I don't know if you know that.
My mom did predict this, yes.
Well, I mean, no slight on your mom, but I would say it wasn't a particularly hard prediction to make.
No,
Yeah.
it was going downhill really fast.
Yeah, no, it's a shame. It's a really small airline, though. That's part of the problem. So, inside Namibia, where have you been? Have you visited any of the country besides Windhoek? You grew up there, but can you tell folks a little bit about, can you be like the tourism promoter for Namibia right now?
Let's see, Namibia, let's see, where have I been? I think everywhere around Windhoek, and then straight to the coast, because I remember when I got here, I would tell them, yeah, we would go to the coast every weekend. That's 4 hours of driving. And they would be like, you drive 4 hours every weekend? And I'm like, yes, this is very normal for me. And to them, it was like, no, that has to be like a week-long vacation to drive that far.
Yeah, well, because if you drive 4 hours in the Netherlands, you're either in the North Sea or on the other side of Germany.
Yeah. But now I've realized I've become really lazy with, not lazy, I wouldn't say lazy, let's see, complacent.
There you go.
Because now it takes me an hour and I'm on the other side of Europe, on the other side of the Netherlands. But if I stay in the car for an hour back home, I'm still in Windhoek.
Yeah, no, I don't think people appreciate that the distances in Namibia are vast. I mean, if you were to go from the border with South Africa to Angola, that would take you a long time.
Yeah. If you go from Windhoek to Johannesburg, that's about 17 hours.
And that's assuming you don't hit any donkeys on the way.
That's assuming you don't hit any donkeys or a kudu or a monkey or anything along the way.
Well, listen, I'm not too angry if we hit a kudu. We'll break out the braai and start cooking that thing up.
No, my dad has given us this option many times. Um, but what I also find so interesting when it comes to Namibia is the wildlife itself. Because here, if I speak about, yeah, my dad went hunting or we went hunting or something, they're all like, do you have a permit for it? Is this allowed? And I'm like, what do you mean? Do you have a permit for it? You get invited. What do you mean?
Do they have guns?
We own them, yes.
Aren't you worried about hitting someone else?
I hope not.
No, but it's a matter of perception, of course. You've lived in the Netherlands now,
Yeah.
so you appreciate it's a small place geographically, although quite diverse for a country of its size. But
Yeah.
it's a place where people grow up in very different circumstances, and things that are quite normal to you and say to me because of my upbringing are quite alien to folks in the Netherlands,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Definitely. Especially if I speak about, say, helping out at an orphanage or something like that, and they're all like, what do you mean? And it's not like they don't have it, but I think it's not really a big thing, I guess. Or they just don't know a lot about it. I'm not sure. And also if I speak about, yeah, helping out at a food bank or something like that. And then here I heard that people can pick up a whole week's meal. You can just pick it up. You don't pay for it. You don't do anything. You can just pick it up. And I thought to myself, just imagine if you can bring that amount of money, I guess, to a country like Namibia. Like so many people would be so much better off.
No, the reality is, of course, not to speak ill of Namibia, but the reality is in Namibia and in neighboring Botswana, at least half the population live in poverty. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate, even after such a long period of time. But things that people can do really make a difference. I read in the Chinese newspaper yesterday, I talked about it, that the Chinese business community up north of Windhoek, one of the towns in Damaraland, I think, had donated some food packages to local folks. And so the Chinese press, of course, played that up. But the reason I shared it Marelize is because the U.S. government gave $8.6 million US dollars and 1,400 tons of food aid, and we didn't get the press coverage in China. So I was a little bum hurt. I thought I'd share that.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it was just amazing to see the difference, the really big difference between a first world country such as Europe and the Netherlands next to a third world country. And in my head, I knew there was a gap, but I never knew it was this big.
It's amazing, and it's right around you. Of course, people can see it quite clearly. One of the things I've always thought is kind of embarrassing for South Africans, whether they realize or not, is that when you land at Cape Town and you leave the airport, you have to drive past shanty towns, informal settlements, to get into Cape Town. And I'm like, are you not embarrassed by this? I mean, if I was going to build an airport, I wouldn't have shanties next to it. But I mean, I know the history and why it happened there. But I get it. But so there's some odd things going on in the chat here. Some nice things too. People asking if you speak German, and I think the answer is no. Correct?
No, I do not speak German.
And we'll get back to the German topic in a moment because I wanted to share that. But MJ says, lovely girl. So I thought I'd share that with you. And then Brett says, are there many Namibians in the Netherlands? Has she met many Namibians there? I think the answer is no. And let me explain why, and then I'll let Marelize answer. The natural location for most people from Namibia to go, if they go to Europe, is Germany, because of the long historical ties with Germany. And so you have a lot of black Namibians who actually speak German. A lot of people are surprised by that. But that is in part because of the historical relationship, but also because during the Liberation era, the SWAPO group was supported by the German Democratic Republic because of those historical ties. So a lot of black Namibians went to East Germany to study, to learn, and to get acculturated. So, Marlies, have you seen many Namibians in the Netherlands, or do you ever come across any?
No.
Yeah, that's exactly.
One. I came across one.
Okay, yeah. But I guarantee you, if you go to Germany, you'll run into some.
Yeah, I do think so as well. But I do remember in the beginning of the year, or was it in the end? I think in the beginning of the year, we had the Rugby World Cup, or was it in the end of the year? I'm not sure. But I do remember there was a bar in Amsterdam that played the rugby match, and it was the only bar in like almost the whole of Amsterdam. And when you walked in there, the friend that I went with, we both almost cried because everyone was in their green shirts and everyone was speaking Afrikaans, and it was like, what is this? And it was so many South Africans band together for this one event. I was like, wow, this is amazing to see.
So in 19 and don't Marlies, if you mention when you were born, we're just going to end the conversation now. I don't want to hear it, but so in 1984, I went to Oktoberfest in Germany. I was stationed in Germany. I was a
Yeah.
young man, and I went to Oktoberfest, and I was in a beer tent with some other American friends of mine, and we were having a good time. I had a couple liters. They don't drink pints. They're
No,
not those weak-kneed
neither.
English folks. Sorry about that, Keith, but I had to get that dig in. They're not those weak-kneed English drinkers, but they drink liters. And so I had a couple liters of beer, and I walked over this table where people were singing, and I looked up, and I'm like, I said, and I answered. I asked them in German. I said, "I'm sorry. Are you guys from Southwest Africa?" And they're like, "Yeah, wir sind Südwester, natürlich." And they were 3 sheets to the wind drunk, and I got it. And they were dancing on the table and singing and waving the Southwest flag and everything.
Yeah.
And they were the first people from Namibia I ever met my entire life at Oktoberfest in Germany. Of course, German-speaking Namibians. It was hilarious. Quite an
And then
experience.
you knew they were good people.
Oh, well, yeah, they were drinking beer at Oktoberfest. The odds were pretty good. They were good people to begin with, just from that experience. So, speaking of
So,
the German thing here. So, let's talk a little bit about that. Now, I told you, you and I spoke ahead of time. One of the things I found fascinating about Namibia is the white community, whatever white means, but white community, which
yeah.
is divided pretty much between German and Afrikaans speakers. There's a few others, but that's most of the folks. And what I always found fascinating, what's that steakhouse that's there in Windhoek? Is it
Joe's Beer House.
Joe's Beer House? That's the place, yeah. So anytime I popped in there, I would go in there, and it's funny because the Germans, the ethnic Germans, would always be whinging about the Afrikaners. And then I hear the Afrikaners whinging about the Germans. And, the Germans, I'm saying stereotypes, so no one take offense, but the Germans would make fun of the Afrikaners, these country bumpkins, these hicks, these farmers, even though some of the Germans were farmers. And then the Afrikaners would look at the Germans and go, oh, these rude, you cold, distant Germans. And then I noticed that all of them have their sons and daughters marry each other, even though they
Yeah.
complain about each other all the time. Is that an accurate stereotype?
Well, my mom's German and my dad's an Afrikaner, so I don't.
See, there
That
we
is
go.
on the dot.
So there we go. There's an example right there. We proved it right there.
Yeah.
Prima facie evidence of the cultural divide in Namibia, ladies and gentlemen, right here, courtesy Marlies. So let's talk a little bit about that experience. Did you know any German speakers growing up? Was that part of your experience?
We also have an Oktoberfest because we do have German roots. So we do have Oktoberfest as well. And I do know that my sister did have a few German friends, but I was never lucky enough. But I do remember when I was younger, I always did think, because there was like one German school, and it's one of the best schools in the whole of Windhoek. And I would always think like, oh, what snobby people and everything. And it was kind of just what I thought. Oh, I don't know why it was in my head that that's the way that things are. But in the end, my sister also did say the Germans are usually the nicest people, and they're all very funny and kind. And you kind of make this stereotype decision and analysis of, this is German, this is bad.
No, I get where you're coming from, and it's interesting about to know German people. When I say German people, I'm not talking about just in Germany, but obviously those who retain their German culture and traditions abroad, like in Namibia and also in South Africa for as well. There's many German families that are third, fourth generation Germans whose first language is German in South Africa. But to know them is interesting. A lot of people look at the Germans and think they're quite cold. Someone was talking about all these Germans in here, and I should address that very quickly. Ja, natürlich, es gibt ja ziemlich viele Deutsche, die Deutsch sprechen können hier während unserer Unterhaltung jedes Mal. Also keine Frage. Anyway, so that was just for them. But anyway, so so MJ says, my parents were both Dutch and came to Namibia in 1947, and I was born there. Okay, well, that's kind of cool. Interesting to know. So the Netherlands. I'm looking behind you there, and there's quite a large bookshelf of books. I'm already liking your host family. Anybody that likes to read and is illiterate is already good in my book. So are you enjoying your time with your host family?
I am. I love every second of it. They are really supportive people. And I do love the fact that they are very straightforward. And my mom is the same. It's, this is what's wrong, fix it. It's never beating around the bush or trying to kind of spare your feelings. If there's a problem, you have to sort it out. And I really do appreciate it. And that's kind of how I like things done.
Yep.
Like, say it to my face or don't say it at all. And they really did have that. And I find them very loving people, and they support me in every and anything that I do. And I do, when I'm always kind of like, I don't know the people, so I'm not actually going to go there. And then my host mom always says, just do it anyways. Just do it, do it, do it, do it. She's really like supportive of me, and I do appreciate it so much.
I have to say, from my experience, and I've dealt with or interacted with the Dutch in the Netherlands, but also all over the world, including in Ethiopia when I worked at the African Union, but in Germany, of course, and lots of other places. And I've been a lot of Dutch over the years. And to me, you can't stereotype 16, 18 million people, but to me, as a people, the Dutch are really outgoing and engaging, and they're willing to stretch their bounds. They're willing to travel. They're willing to meet other people, to experience new things. In fact, ironically, the first time I was ever involved in anything that had anything to do with apartheid is I was in Amsterdam many, many years ago, and I went for a walk, and I walked right into an anti-apartheid parade. So I just joined in.
Yeah, definitely join in.
It was interesting. So let's see what else we've got over here in the chat. So your sister has shared something, and I might not share it, except I know it's humorous, but you're the only person who doesn't see it, so I'm going to share it with you because, oh, you got your hand over your mouth. What did she say? So Vilmari says, my dad calls my mom Hitler.
Yes, that is true.
Oh, gosh. Oh. Now, wait, I don't know if your dad's on here or not, but and I don't know what your dad's name is, but sir, you did marry the lovely lady and have 2 children with her.
It has always been that way. If she does anything or says anything that he finds, I don't know what he thinks of it, and then
restrictive
he would be like,
or restrictive or confining. So
yeah, I don't know, but it was usually if we're in front of people, and my mom is a very witty person, and then if my mom would say something, and then you would just hear like, Hitler, stop, and then I'm like, oh dear, what are you doing, mom?
But so let me ask this question. So what was the language growing up in the house? I mean, what were people speaking? Afrikaans?
I did grow up in Afrikaans, but I do remember that I could speak English before I even went to school, because everything on TV is in English. So you were never actually taught the language. You kind of just learn from listening to it. And then when you got to school, you kind of learned how to put it in form, I guess.
Well, I honestly, listen, I have to say, I come down on the side of your mother here. I'm not happy about this cultural oppression. I mean, the fact that your mother can't speak German in the house, that just seems wrong to me.
She doesn't even know the language either.
What? Oh, she's ethnically German, but not culturally, at least language-wise.
No.
Oh,
No.
shame. Well, look, I can set some lessons up. I used to teach German if she's curious.
My sister will do it because she did go to a German preschool, and she loved every second of it. So she would like that very much.
No, it's a funny thing because German was my second language, if that makes sense. It was the first foreign language for me. So, and a lot of people were challenged by German, but for me, I found it fascinating. And the grammar, honestly, I mean, is complicated. So if you can figure out German grammar, you got a head start on other languages. They seem a lot easier. And so I always find it fascinating that people find German so difficult, because I didn't find it that difficult. but then who am I to speak? I can't pronounce the G and H in Afrikaans, right?
I really wanted to learn German, but when I got here and I had to start learning Dutch, I was like, what am I doing? It is a hard language. Oh, it was so hard in the beginning.
Well, actually, we should dispense with that very quickly, because a lot of people that don't know better, which would be most of the world, Marelize, assume or presume that Afrikaans and Dutch are the same language. They are not, are they?
Oh, I could understand pieces of it, but it took me about 2 weeks and then I could still not understand everything. So I still had to be like, what? Excuse me? What did you say? All the time. And I think it's about now only that I really do have the hang of it, and I can keep a conversation in Dutch. So it took me about 10 months just to completely learn it. And I did go to classes as well. So it's not the same at all.
Quite a challenge. So Crystal Hoyer says that his brother's full-on German, stays in Warburg in the South Africa, one, so is familiar with the German culture. And Erica grew up in the Belgian Congo in Katanga and had to flee when it all went up. The balloon went up there. But Erica says, I used to host Dutch student teachers on my farm for about 2 months every year. That's interesting. Cool.
That's fine.
That is interesting. Yeah, Christoph. I was going to say, I don't, Warburg doesn't sound right. Wartburg. Yeah, he mistyped that. I thought maybe, sometimes people build German settlements in other countries and they drop letters, so I didn't know. But let's see. So I'm trying to catch up here. Lone Wolf says, is Namibian Afrikaans the same as South African Afrikaans? The language, yes, but the way people speak, there are differences, aren't
Yeah, it's the dialect that is different. Even I am an Afrikaans, Afrikaner, so I will speak Afrikaans the way that I do. But in Namibia, you also get coloureds and basters, and they also speak Afrikaans, but with a different dialect and a different way of pronouncing things. And then if you go to Cape Town, which is in South Africa, they have a completely different way of speaking compared to the Namibian Afrikaner. So it's a lot of different types, but same language.
No, absolutely. It's funny because when Giselle was on my channel, we did her concert debut for her new album, Für uns Mensa. We did that on May 8th, and then I had her on as a guest as an interview, which was a marathon session. Johan and Giselle and I were on for 4 hours and 20 minutes that day. That was a bit much, but I enjoyed it, as did they. And people stuck with us the whole time, so we kept going. But it was funny because when the concert was on, I was managing the chat because the concert was being done in Pretoria. And in the chat on my channel, people are like, because I don't think they read the description of the video and who she was, like, is she from Namibia? She doesn't sound South African. That doesn't sound right. No, I mean, somebody actually said that. but
I did hear once that I think Namibians underroll their words and South Africans overroll their words. Yes. So the vowels we swallow it and they overextend. I'm not sure, but I think that's the big difference.
No, I think one can make the comparison between South African and Namibian Afrikaans by looking at French and Quebecois French. It's similar. I mean, they're different languages, but the same sort of dynamic happens. The Quebecois are much more practical, and they'll just drop something if they don't need it, whereas the French are the nose in the air, the Académie Française. We must keep the language pure. We cannot be contaminated by the English, that sort of thing. So, yeah. So there's comments coming about the Dutch and the Flemish, people talking about them. Let me see. There was one here. So Hendrik de Klerk says, Chris, I work in tourism, and the Dutch do understand if we talk in Afrikaans to them, but just talk slowly and use a few Dutch in between, and you'll be fine. Yeah, no, that's true. But I think it's more difficult for Afrikaners to go the other way around. My experience is Afrikaners who try to talk to the Dutch speakers, it's much more of a struggle for them.
I would have to say the children did pick it up very fast, because I remember the youngest one, in 2 days, he understood me completely. And the rest kind of followed, but they had to speak very slowly for me to kind of hear it and reverse it back into Afrikaans to understand it. So that was really difficult for me to get it.
Well, that would be miserable for me because I make coffee nervous. I talk so fast that, and I actually do that in every language I speak. So I do it in English, I do it in German, I do it in French, in other languages. So for me, being forced to talk slowly so that a tourist can understand me would be quite a challenge. I'd have to take downers or something, or be waking up in the middle of the night. That might do the trick.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember I also spoke really, really fast, and I did a kind of competition where you have a kind of a story that you have written, and then you have to present it. And there you had a coach, and she was like, you're going to learn how to speak slowly. And it was really hard for me because I do have so much to say, and then it all just kind of keeps going.
All right, so let's shift gears a little bit there, Marelize. So this video goes viral. People know who you are. I'm sure that if you hang out in a restaurant or a cafe, people are chatting all the time, probably drives your friends nuts. Like, come on, we don't want to talk about this. Is that the case? Did that happen to you?
It did. I do remember a few times where I did go out with friends and then people would recognize me, and this was right in the beginning of everything when it was at its biggest. And then people would be like, yeah, Marelize, hi, let's take a picture, let's talk about it. And I'm very new to it, so I was like, I can't say no. So I would just talk with them and keep talking. And then an hour would go by, and then my friends are like, okay, we're going to leave now because this isn't fun for us. And it was really hard in the beginning. And I'd never blamed them because I did understand if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't have liked it either.
Well, no, but what we can say, Marlies, is definitely you've got this. You can put this on your CV. You were viral before COVID.
Yeah, I was viral before COVID, yes.
There you go. No, but seriously, so this video gets out there, a lot of attention for it. A lot of people know who you are. You become a household name for a lot of folks. But obviously, you're going to be doing something in life, and it's not going to be an au pair. I mean, that's a wonderful thing you're doing now. You've enjoyed it immensely. But what kind of plans you got? I mean, you're going to come back to Southern Africa, either swimming, the world's longest swim, or waiting for a plane. But you will be going back to Namibia. And what's the plan from there? You got any ideas? I mean, you're not planning on going to university, I don't think. So are you?
No, that is not really in the road ahead. But I did have a few plans, and you know how you make plans, and then God's just like, I have a different plan. Let's change it. So I did want to do a lot of different things, and it was completely against one another. And my dad would always say, he was like, well, you can't play netball and rugby. You have to choose between one because it's completely different.
Well,
And
I'll make that easy for you. It's not even a question. It's rugby all the way. But
rugby.
go ahead. Go ahead.
And when I just thought, when I was like, okay, I choose rugby, I know what I'm gonna do. And then Johan, that we both know, Johan Aysel, he comes to me with a brand new idea, and I'm like, well, here new plans come my way again, and then I get an opportunity to, if I do it correctly, I could maybe be in a movie, and all these different doors out of nowhere start to open up, and I'm like, yeah, this was really not what I planned for. So right now the road is blurry, but I'm hoping that at the end I do end up on someone's TV.
Okay, that sounds kind of cool. So have you done any acting before, or you taken a
I
stab
did.
at it?
My mom would always say, my mom said it was because I had too much energy and she just had to get it out of her house. I did do drama for some time, and I did enjoy it so much. We did a mini play, and I really thought, like, this is my area of expertise. I have enough, whatever is inside me, charisma, I don't know, but I have enough of that to actually do something with this. And it was probably the best time that I had.
Excellent. Sounds good. When I was at university, I was convinced to do plays in German, and my German was good, but it wasn't fluent at that stage. And so I was doing plays, and of course, this is high literature. It's not it's not like doing Starsky and Hutch, it's or Charlie's Angels. So it was high literature. So I'm like Gerhard Hauptmann, who's a very famous German playwright. So I'm doing this, and some of the words I didn't know. And can you imagine acting when you don't know the words, all of them? You're not sure where to focus on or what you're trying to say. So the German director would be like, no, listen, Chris, that's not quite right. You're not catching the right point here. And I'm like, oh gosh, so I go home and what did that word mean? But I think you'll be all right if you do English or Afrikaans. You shouldn't have any challenges doing that.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I would do, because when school ended, I thought I was going to become a public speaker, because that's also something that I really do enjoy to do, hear the sound of my own voice. So I was thinking maybe something like that.
Don't tell people that.
It's too late now.
Yeah, it's out there.
But I would still like to go into that kind of direction where I do get to share my voice and what I have to say with everyone else.
That sounds fascinating. So let me get a comment in here, and then I'm just going to bring everybody up to speed at the top of the hour because we're almost at 1 hour here. So Christo Hoyer said that, Chris, I always thought the Marelize video was staged. Amazing to meet the real person behind the story and see it was really legitimate. Makes it so much more precious. Well, I have to agree. I mean, when I first saw it, I'm like, okay, come on, this is nonsense. They just made this up. But then when I talked to Marelize and I found out why she was riding a bicycle on a rugby pitch, it all made sense.
I do remember when all of this happened, and most of the comments and reactions were positive, and there was some that was like, this is fake, you guys are just searching for something. And I remember my mom said, she was like, who cares? We were there. We knew what happened.
No, that's actually a great point, Marlies. I mean, that's you know what happened, and people can say what they want. They don't know the truth, and if they don't want to believe the truth, that's fine. So that's a good point. Okay, what I'm going to do, Marlies, just to take a moment here, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Indaba Africa on the Chris Wyatt Africa channel here on YouTube, and I'm coming to you from Central Pennsylvania with my special featured guest today, Marlies Horn, who is currently living in the Netherlands, where she's working as an au pair, and she kind of shot to fame, certainly in Southern Africa and even around the world, with a viral video, which some people think was staged, but we know now it clearly wasn't staged. The young 19-year-old was learning how to ride a bicycle, and you're probably scratching your head going, why would anybody at 19 be learning how to ride a bike? It's like swimming. Didn't she learn that as a child? Well, in fact, she didn't. And why might she need a bicycle? Because she knew that she was going to go to the Netherlands to be an au pair. And if you've ever been to the Netherlands, ladies and gentlemen, there's more bicycles than there are automobiles in that country. So she wanted to know how to ride a bicycle. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to play that video once again with the audio for the audience. And then Marlies and I are going to come back on and we'll talk a little bit more about what happened. So hang on, folks. Just be patient. And here comes the video, okay?
My fuck, Marelize.
I'm sorry, Marlies, but I just, oh my goodness, that's, listen, your mom doesn't sound very German. She sounds very Afrikaans for sure.
Yes.
So you didn't just hit the post. I mean, you couldn't have driven a bucky into that thing harder. It was like clang. It's like you nailed it.
This sound is the best part out of all of it. Oh, I know that before I came here, my mom and I would lie in bed and we would watch it over and over and over again. And it's still funny.
It is hilarious. I got to give you that. That is truly a funny thing to see. I mean, not to laugh at your misfortune, but it didn't turn into misfortune. It turned into a little bit of fortune in some respects. But let me ask this question. So were you injured at all? Did you get a scratch or a scuff or a mark or anything?
Yeah, I think my leg was blue. I can't really remember. No, wait. I did hit the inside of my right leg. So that was pretty black and blue for a while because as you can hear, it was quite a hit. And yeah, I think that was about the biggest injury. And then I had to learn how to properly cycle because I was invited to a few events in South Africa because it was cycling season as well when all of this happened. And I had to learn how to actually cycle so that I could be a part of these events. And this ended up in so many more scratches and bruises. And oh dear, it was rough.
No, that is interesting. So Christo says, Chris, thank you and Marlies for an extremely interesting stream. Marlies seems like a really sweet, legitimate, down-to-earth girl and has great values.
Thank you.
That's very nice. I bring a tear to my eye. Oh, that's very nice. So Lone Wolf is being cheeky. He said, no, he's not being cheeky. He asked the same question I asked. He asked if it hurt running the pole. Yeah, well, you did get a mark, but I mean, what was the biggest thing about it? Probably the shock, or did you know you were going to hit it, or was it just sudden?
No, I do remember I was like, okay, I'll go around the pole, but the bike had a different idea and he was like, no, we'll go in between the poles, and we kind of met in the middle, which was the pole. Yeah.
Actually, I don't mean to break it to you, but that really wasn't the middle. That was the fringe. Yikes.
Oh, it went so bad.
Oh my goodness. So let's talk a little bit more about the Netherlands before we get out of here. the experience with the host family, you're watching and helping take care of their children. How was that experience? Did you enjoy that, or was
I
that
do.
challenging?
I I do enjoy every second of it. I knew that I did like kids and I did babysit a lot, but this is completely different, and you really do become part of their lives and their everyday. And it's so nice because on weekends I do have off, so I only come into the house at, say, in the afternoon, and they're always so excited to see you and tell you what they've done this morning, and they never lose the enthusiasm of seeing you, and it does make you feel really special.
That's pretty cool. That's actually enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I imagine your family. We know your sister misses you, but I imagine you're probably in touch with your family. Do you call? Do you Skype? Do you do FaceTime or any of those things, or WhatsApp?
Yeah, we do call a lot. And my mom, she did say just before we started the video, she was like, today, yeah, she did go through all the my if Marelize things. And she was like, yeah, it's really becoming a long time now. She wants me to come home.
Yeah, I can imagine having you gone for that long. So now your sister's older than you, correct?
Yes, by 2 years and 10 months.
She doesn't let you forget it. No.
No, definitely not.
So Lone Wolf is asking a question which I think is interesting, and it's kind of go in a direction I wanted to ask you about in the future. What's going to happen? So Lone Wolf ZA says, "What is Marelize's opinion of people using her video for their own gain, views on YouTube, likes on Facebook, and sometimes getting money because of it, or attracting more people to their digital platform?" Wait a second. I think that's a dig at me. So no, but seriously, what are your thoughts on that?
In the beginning, I didn't mind because I didn't actually know that this is what it was going to become. And I didn't really know what to do. We did think, yeah, maybe we should trademark it
Mm-hmm.
and see if we can do that. But the problem is, you can't actually write out the swear word. So if we say put a hashtag in there, anyone else could put the @ sign, and then it's something completely different, and then they could use it. So we had to trademark almost 100 different ways of saying the name, which was impossible to do. And I did wish that I met Yuan earlier, and he really did guide me a lot in all of this, and he provided me with a lot of resources that he had with his business, Global African Entertainment, and he provided me this platform and support that I needed in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that I have him now, but I do wish that I had him earlier.
No, absolutely.
Because
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I do know a lot of people that say you're misusing her and she's just a young girl, and we didn't know what to do. So I'm not really mad at them. I'm kind of just mad that I didn't handle it better, and I couldn't.
Well, I'd probably chalk that up to the fact you simply didn't know. I mean, it's not an environment that most people know about or know how to walk into, and that's honestly, if you look back historically, not in your case, but you look historically, say at musicians or singers. And of course, this is a sad tale across the world, but what comes to mind for me is the country music industry here in America in the 50s and 60s, where young girls are very talented and then they're taken advantage of. But not just young girls, but all acts in general, by unscrupulous agents and by promoters and such. And then the artists wind up with nothing. It's a sad thing when that happens, but it's good that you've linked up with Johan. Johan is a good egg, and thank you for mentioning Global African Entertainment. Give a little attention to his business there. Really appreciate that. But he's a pretty smart guy. He seems to know what he's doing.
Yeah, he does. He did kind of get me into a lot of great things, and I do remember when we met, he did say I was not what he was expecting. He expected this schoolgirl who doesn't know what she's doing, but I did know that this was something that I wanted. So I did arrive in action, and I wanted this, and I think he saw it, and we kind of got together in the middle, and from there he supported me in everything I did.
That's really cool. And you'll be coming back, and you've got some plans. Looks like you'll probably be appearing on his future channel that he's got coming up. That's kind of the plan.
I hope so. There's talk of it, so I'm not going to say anything yet. But if everything does go smoothly, keep your fingers crossed. Or what's the German thing?
Oh, ich drücke die Daumen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Which literally means in English, I'm crossing my fingers for people who don't know, but in German it means I'm pushing the thumbs. Anyway, that's how the Germans say it. That's why you have to learn other languages and other cultures because people express the same thing differently. So, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's well, okay. Listen, for the people listening, okay, don't share this with anybody. I'm gonna share it with Marlace, but in case you don't know, I will also likely have a program on that television network that's coming up that Johan is going to be setting up when it gets set up. So there you go.
Hey.
Yeah, but it won't be a program teaching people to speak Afrikaans. I guarantee that.
I'll do that one, and then you do the German one.
Oh, there we go. We can do language lessons. Brilliant.
If Johan is watching this, this is the new episodes that we're gonna work on.
That's right. This is cross-cutting, cross-generational. We're going to make this happen just like that. Okay, so there's a couple really good questions that people ask in the chat, and then I just want to make sure I didn't miss them. One of them was, and it's a legitimate question, not being cheeky. The person's asking, okay, so your mom was there when you're learning to ride a bike. Why wasn't your dad? I mean, because a lot of people, their dads are the ones that teach them to ride bikes, and I think that's where the question came from. Now before you answer, I know I think I know where this might go because sometimes dads aren't patient, and maybe that was part of it.
I can genuinely not. I do know when I first tried to learn, my sister was there, and we also went onto a rugby field, and that was right before I went to the au pair training, and then I failed. So when I got back, I was like, okay, mommy, I can do this. Let's just go and I'll practice. So it wasn't really that I had to learn it all anew. I just wanted to practice, which clearly did not go. So that's why she went with, and I needed someone to drive me because I was not allowed to drive the big car where the bike fits into.
Okay.
So yeah.
There you go. And someone asked the other question, kind of off topic, but still a good question. Do you swim? Can you swim?
I can swim. I can swim very well. I'm not going to say at my best, but I can swim well.
Well, I think it's a fair question. You do come from an incredibly dry country, so.
That's why everyone has a swimming pool.
Ah, there you go. That's true. So there's a gentleman who's a retired American Army officer whom I know who worked for me in Liberia, and he's asked. He made a question, but just to share this, I think you might find this amusing, Marlies. He said, "When I was stationed in Maastricht, I once ended up driving my car in the bike lane. The police arrived to escort me to Tapchen Kaserne, where I worked. Another crazy American soldier."
I have to tell this. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the roads are very narrow. And in my head, I can't think two cars fit there because I know back home, here where it's a two-way street, it's a one-way street for us.
Yes.
Because that's just how small the roads are. Now imagine there is a lane for bikes as well. And I, who cannot cycle so well yet, or couldn't, was in the buckfit with children inside, and then I hit a car.
Ooh.
And not just any car, a Tesla.
Oh, well, that's not a car. That's just a lawnmower with a hood on it.
It always looks like kind of like a spaceship. And I was like, oh, what have I done? And the guy was very nice. I came off. He was like, okay, I see you're not from here and you're very scared. I was dying on the inside. I was so afraid. I thought I can't pay this Tesla. But I cannot imagine having to go back home and not having bike lanes. Like, it's so strange now for me to think there are streets with no bike lanes.
No, actually, I'm with you on that. I've driven, and of course, I had a larger American vehicle when I was driving in the Netherlands one of the times. Other times I had German cars. But driving on some of those narrow roads, particularly in town, or little country roads connecting across fields and polders and such, and you're driving and you're like, wait a second. Is that car got room to pass me on the other side? No. Oh, okay, there we go.
It's so stressful.
Yeah, it can be. I could see that. Absolutely. No doubt about that. Huh. So let's see. So Renier Duplessis says, "Ek dink ons moet hier nie cycle rugby begin."
Oh, we should start our own cycling road.
No, I got that. Oh, that says rugby.
Yeah, we should probably. Because I remember back home, I wanted to practice before I came here so that I wasn't completely unfit, I guess, when I have to cycle. And many times I was almost driven off the road by cars because they're like, this is a road only for cars, no bikes allowed. And it was really like going into a 13-year-old girl's room where there's no boys allowed.
Well, the first time I was ever in Denmark, I went to Copenhagen, and I was struck because I had not been to the Netherlands yet. This is a long time ago, and I went to Denmark, and I had been in Germany, where the roads are even more narrow in these little villages, these medieval villages, than what you find in the Netherlands. And of course, we have to drive big trucks and tanks on these roads, and have to not run into guest houses and restaurants and bars and knock their 500-year-old roofs off. You got to be careful to avoid that. For some reason, they don't like that. But anyway, so I went to Denmark for the first time, and I was in Copenhagen, and I was just gobsmacked. I was flabbergasted. I'm looking around, and not only are there 4-lane streets in the center of Copenhagen, but then there's bike lanes on both sides, and then there's a sidewalk pedestrian lane. I'm like, where does all this space come from? Because we don't have this in Germany. So, but that's
why is there so much room?
Exactly. It's like being in America, man. What's going on here? Or for this case, being back in Namibia, where there's lots of space and wide open skies.
Yeah, there's a lot of space.
So is there anything in particular, now we'll take your family out of the equation, so we don't, not from family, but is there something about life in Namibia that you miss, that you look forward to returning to?
I think having the mountains around me all the time, you do miss the horizon, and I didn't think I would. But it's odd not. I remember going to school every morning, and you would pass the same mountain, and the sun would come up at that same spot, and it would kind of be like, okay, another day, another thing to get through, and it was kind of how you started your day, and you don't have that anymore. So I have to admit, I do miss that a lot.
No, I'm completely with you. So when other people are excited in summertime to go to the beach, to get to get a tan, and hang out on the beach, I'm not one of those people. I much prefer the mountains, and I love hiking and forest and that sort of thing. So I really enjoy the mountains, and I like that about Windhoek because it kind of sits in the mountains and you're surrounded by mountains. It was kind of nice there.
Yeah.
So right outside my location here in central Pennsylvania, less than 2 kilometers away, is a mountain. So it's kind of cool. I really like that. And there's mountains. There's a ski resort about 6 kilometers from here, very close in the wintertime. So lots like that. So I do appreciate what your thoughts on that. It's funny. I should say this. My comment about the Tesla being a lawnmower, it's generating some responses. Luke,
did it not go down well?
No, it went down very well, actually. Luke, the lead slinger, says lawnmower with a hood, brilliant. And then someone else said, where's it at? Come on, I lost it here just a moment ago. Battery. Oh yeah. Renier Duplessis says Tesla equals a battery factory with a car shell. So it apparently went well. Oh, and back on your father with not being there to teach you to ride the bicycle. Nostalgic Binar says her dad wasn't there because he was practicing his penalty kicks on the bike lane. Okay.
I think. Yeah, I don't know. I know when we were younger, we did have bikes. And this is a story that only my family can do. We had a BMW at that time, and the hood space isn't a lot. Like, it was very small, and we wanted to go to South Africa, so my dad bought a second one that you can attach to the car. Mm-hmm. And we did this, but when we got home, it was too big to close the gate. And my dad said, "It's fine, we'll just leave the gate open." And the next morning, we didn't have bikes anymore because it got stolen.
Wow.
So, and at that time, I was still on training wheels, so I didn't get to go without the training wheels, and we just never got new bikes.
It's funny you should mention training wheels because someone asked a question earlier, and I don't think they're trying to be cheeky, but I missed it because we were talking about something else. But someone asked a question earlier, when you were learning to ride this bicycle, why did you have training wheels when you were 19?
I think that was the thing. I'm 19. I'm really not going to be in training wheels. I think that was the way that I thought about it.
Interesting. For some reason, the chat's taken a weird direction here. People keep talking about kudu biltong. I'm not sure why. You ever had kudu biltong, by the way?
Yeah, that's the best biltong.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, I love it. It's fantastic. Good stuff. Yeah, which is difficult for me because I love kudu. It's a beautiful creature. I really love them, but
It's a delicious creature as well.
But yeah, I was going to say, but they're quite tasty, you know.
Yes.
Yikes. So let me see here. Get a few more comments in before we get out of here. Boy, they're real. Oh, now they're talking about biltong and pinotage wine. Okay, enough of the biltong, guys. Oh, Rainier
Never enough with the biltong. Oh, I did tell my mom if I get back home, I want biltong. Like that's the first thing I want to get. Like nice beef biltong with the fat. I want it all.
Okay, look, I'm not a fan of the fat. I like mine lean and seasoned. Oh, look at that. She's got like, you barbarian.
How dare you? The fat is the best part.
Well, okay, to be fair, I am a Viking descent. And so, you know, a bit of a barbarian in me. So anyway. Yanni Fundeveld says Eland biltong is his favorite. That's a good choice.
Oh, Eland. Yeah, that's also very nice.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice. Yep.
My dad always goes hunting, and then you never know what you're going to get this year. Eland, kudu, springbok.
Yeah, exactly. So MJ said you're going to be a well-rounded lady because you're experienced in the Netherlands. He says you're so lovely. He says my two girls also au paired in the USA and Austria, and all the best to your mom. So because people are getting ready to drop off here. So yeah, so that's awesome. So we've talked about this video, how it became famous. In the scheme of things, are you glad it happened? Are you, at the end of the day, are you glad you ran into that post and your mom had her mobile out filming it?
I think in the beginning I was very like, oh, it's happening to me. I can't believe this. And I was in the heat of the moment. But then when things started kind of dying down and it really got to the last bit in the bucket, I really did think, I was like, yeah, I could have actually gone without it. And when I left it all behind, I was actually so sad that I lost it. I really did feel like I did grow attached to this persona that I had and this, I am this girl. And even though I'm still her, you do miss all the wild things that you got to do that you would have never been able to do without it.
So Lone Wolf ZA, who's been a longtime subscriber on the channel and knows about when I'm in desperate times and I'm feeling kind of down, I turn to something which helps me. And so Lone Wolf says, don't mention Hemsbach biltong because Chris's therapy Hemsbach might get nightmares. So I don't know. Can you see me on the camera there?
Je Hemsbach, yeah.
Yeah, that's my therapy Hemsbach. His name is Wilbur. So here you go.
Wilbur the Hemsbach. Okay.
There you go. Anyway, somebody tried to tell me he's not a Hemsbach. I'm like, come on, you check your eyes, man. That's a Hemsbach. Now, my pronunciation might be horrible, but but
when I saw it, I was like, okay, that's a Hemsbach. But when you said it, I was like, what do you mean?
Exactly. Yes, because my pronunciation is not so good. Well, I can put that on my CV. Terrible pronunciation of Afrikaans H and G.
At least you know where the problem lies, and now you can fix it.
No, well, the problem lies in not being at a braai with a bunch of Afrikaans speakers and having a few proper beers, not Castle Lager. Sorry, brew, Castle Lager.
My dad works for the opposing company in Windhoek.
Does he work for Windhoek?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
now
my dad works for Namibian breweries. Yes.
So the producers of Windhoek Lager, a real beer, a genuine alcoholic drink.
He would be so happy to hear this. Oh.
Well, Marelize, please tell your father that I'm a beer snob and I don't drink American beer, except I will drink the microbrews because they follow the Reinheitsgebot. But I don't drink beer unless it's brewed by the
German. They also follow that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I only drink beer that's brewed by the Reinheitsgebot. So that eliminates Castle Lager and also strange things like Chibuku, which is not beer, but I don't drink that either. But the only beer I drink in Southern Africa is Windhoek Lager. Hands down, no question about it. Don't try to snow me over with all this fake stuff that's not really beer. Windhoek Lager. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Mic drop. End of discussion.
Hallelujah.
So your dad will be happy to hear that. Actually, you can get.
He will be very happy to hear this. Yeah.
You can actually get Windhoek Lager in the States. I haven't been able to get it recently, but there is an importer that does bring it. It's just a little pricey. But unfortunately for Namibia and Botswana, Botswana's currency is strong, but Namibia's currency is really closely linked to the rand. So when the rand goes in the crapper, so does the Namibian dollar.
Yeah.
And that makes my beer much cheaper when I import it.
Here in in the Netherlands, in Amersfoort, there is also a place called Dispense, where they sell Namibian and South African goods. And they also do sell Windhoek lager there. So every now and then I do go, and I'm like, I'm going to go get some beer from home.
That's a good point. So Nostalgic Binar said to me, he's laughing, he said, just call it an oryx, Chris. Yeah, because it's English, it's an oryx.
It's an oryx, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I remember the South African helicopter was called the oryx. I'm like, what's an oryx? When I was first learning this many, many years ago when I was young. Yeah, it's a hemsbok. Okay. There you go. Okay, yeah, Hendo's talking about my propensity for mixing beer and Coke. Apparently that doesn't impress a number of people, but we'll go past that. Anyway, so Marelize, you've been a fantastic guest. I've really enjoyed it. I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't want to keep you all night. It looks like it's getting dark there.
Yeah.
All right, so
it's almost 11 o'clock here.
It's well past my bedtime, but it's not 11 o'clock here, so I could stay up longer. Listen, you've been a fantastic guest. I've really enjoyed it. It's great getting to know you and you sharing your experiences with the video and with the instant fame. We didn't really spend a lot of time talking about that. I'm sure there's some downsides. Maybe we'll bring you back on the program sometime and we could talk a little bit more about that if you'd like.
Yeah.
And thanks a lot for being on. So anything you'd like to share with folks before we close out?
I think do it before it's too late. And I'm really glad that I did it while I'm still young. If it's au pairing or making the video and sending it to friends, just do it anyways.
Well, I think the sentiment you're trying to express there is that don't let life pass you by. Be in it. Go out and do it, and grab the bull by the horns. Otherwise, yeah, no, I appreciate that sentiment. That's a sentiment I've lived by my entire life. I remember when I was young, I had no money. People were like, well, you can't go anywhere without having money. I'm like, well, there's other ways to do it. So I would take a cooler and put ice in it and buy lunch meat at butcher shops and bread and stick some Cokes in there and then rent a car with someone else or a couple friends and just did it, made it happen. And at the same time, still save for the future because I looked at it this way. One day I don't want to wake up and be 60 or 70 years old and go, you know what? I really can't.
I wish I did.
Yeah, I wish I did. But I don't really feel like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro now. Maybe when I was 20, but you know what? I decided not to do it when I was 20. So yeah, exactly. Because your body at some point betrays you. You're not always 20 years old. Eventually that catch up with you. So no, I like your philosophy. It's fantastic. You've been a lovely guest. And thanks to your sister for tuning in, and also the folks from Windhoek who tuned in. I hope they become subscribers to the channel. I do content on Namibia, ladies and gentlemen. For those who don't know that, I don't do a lot. I'd be happy to do more. But I do content on Namibia, so please feel free to tune in for that. So so that was great parting advice. I'll give you one more shot. Anything you want to add, or am I just asking you too much here?
No, that's about the philosophy. See, it's becoming too late. I can't speak anymore. The philosophy that I live by right now. So
cool beans. But before I let you go, I just got to get you to say Corona one time.
What do I have to do?
Can I get you to say Corona one time?
Corona.
Oh, I love that. It's brilliant. Okay.
Miss Corona.
There you go. All right, Marelize Horn has been my guest. Marelize, thank you so much. Can I get you to drop off, leave the meeting, and I'll close out the stream, and then I'll call you back shortly, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, bye.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Marelize Horn of the fame for having the viral video, which doesn't have the most polite term on it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And so she was my guest today on Chris White Africa. I hope you enjoyed it. I think she was a fantastic guest and really exciting stuff. We'll try to get her back on here sometime again and talk a little bit more about life. I like her philosophy. I like her bubbly, happy attitude, and she seems well-grounded and quite an interesting young lady from Namibia. And so, folks, thank you for tuning in today. Really appreciate your patronage on Chris White Africa. Thank you so much for the super stickers. Boy, let me go back and take a look at that. There were a bunch of super stickers there. Like I said, I think I'm going to have to get her on just so we got revenue drivers on this channel. No, I'm just teasing, but let me just give people credit for that. So we had Christo gave a super sticker and another super sticker. Then Marinis Bota gave one, and Brett gave a super chat. Thank you so much for that, guys. Really appreciate that. Really nice. Let me look and see if anybody became a member. I don't think anybody did during the stream. No new members. And I don't think we got any new subscribers. Oh, we did get another subscriber. So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate folks tuning in. I'm not going to do another Stray Voltage tonight. That's enough for today. But so far as tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, my guest was scheduled to be Nadine. the Afrikaans singer from South Africa. But I'm getting indications that there's a booking problem. I saw earlier she was streaming from the road. She was in a hotel on Facebook, and so I don't know if she had unexpected travel taking place, but I can't promise it should be on tomorrow, but that is the plan. I'm not going to cancel or postpone that stream until tomorrow when I find out for sure. So if she doesn't appear tomorrow, my apologies in advance, and I'll try to reschedule it. If she does, then just ignore the fact that I mentioned this. But anyway, so, oh, the Bruce says, oh, so no late night streaming. It's already late night, man. It's 10:30 there. We're not going to go beyond that today. So this is my second stream for today. So thank you so much to my guest, Marelize Horn, and to your mom for recording that video. I know it was at your behest because you're trying to learn how to ride the bike. But it's funny how certain things just happen in life, and those moments are captured. So that one's captured for posterity, Marelize, and so it's certainly got you a lot of attention. Let's hope that things go well and you turn into something very productive and you do something interesting in life. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Really, really appreciated it. Well, people are saying they're here. Like you want me to keep going. Thank you, Marelize, for giving us your time. All the best in the Netherlands. That's from the Lone Wolf. Okay, Corelia van der Merwe says that turned out to be so awesome, 100%. Yeah, excellent. I agree. Thank you so much. All right, folks, really appreciate you tuning in. I will see you tomorrow. I'll have a prepared video, but it's probably not of interest to many folks here, but it's just part of the wider span of things I do. This is about Nigeria's acquisition of Super Tucano aircraft. Yeah, and probably people are like, oh, that's boring. But some people might find it interesting. So I'll be making a video on that either tonight or tomorrow, and that'll be published. So if you're looking for videos from me, look for that. And then tomorrow we'll be doing the stray voltage, and hopefully, ich drücke die Daumen. I'm crossing my fingers. We still have Nadine on tomorrow. Anyway, folks, don't forget Friday, Giselle will be back on the channel, and we'll be discussing all the songs from her album, Für uns Mensa. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's been a distinct pleasure. I want to thank you for being part of the team, for being loyal subscribers. If you're new to the channel and never subscribed, just smash that subscription button right down there. It costs absolutely nothing. Doesn't matter if you're in Antarctica. They don't charge you in Antarctica. You can be a subscriber for no charge. And if you want to make sure you get updated videos and streams that are coming up, be sure to toggle that bell icon. That way you want to select all. That way you're notified of all videos and live streams. And finally, feel free to leave a comment. If you have compliments or additional questions from Marelize, I'll forward the questions to her, or we'll save them for a future stream. One of the two. And finally, folks, come on. It doesn't cost anything to smash that like button. I know you might break it. So just tap the like button. Go ahead and just tap that like button right there so that people will like the video. The more likes you get as a percentage of views, the more likely is this will get impressions on other people's YouTube channel. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. And that's going to be it. And I'm going to close out now. And I want to say God bless to everyone, and have a pleasant evening wherever you are, and a pleasant rest of the day, say if you're here in the U.S. All right, folks, take care. We'll catch